The movie begins, and we see that at exactly 2:17, 17 children from the same city step out of their homes. They all run in the same direction and never return. They vanish without a trace. Even though their houses had CCTV cameras and alarms, by the time their parents realized what had happened, it was already too late. From the CCTV footage, it was discovered that the children had all run away, making the same pose, like an airplane, and all at the exact same time, 2:17. Shockingly, all of them were from the same school, the same class. The class had 18 children in total. 17 had disappeared, but one had not. These children were caught by a teacher named Justine. Naturally, suspicion first fell on her and on the only child who hadn't disappeared, Alex. The police questioned Justine, Alex, and Alex's parents, but no results came of it. A month passed, and still there was no trace of the children. Before moving forward, let me tell you, the story will now be shown from the perspectives of different characters. We'll see everyone's version. First, we follow the school teacher Justine. Like every other day, she went to school, but was shocked to find only Alex in the classroom. The other 17 children were gone. Soon, she learned the truth, that they had all vanished. Because of this, she had to face the anger of the parents and the ongoing investigation. Even though she was found innocent, the parents still blamed her. They claimed Justine was a witch who used black magic to make the children disappear. Because of these accusations, Justine became deeply disturbed and turned to drinking. While the investigation was still going on, the school was shut down. But after a month, it reopened for new children. Before reopening, a big parents' meeting was held. The parents of the missing children were also present. They still accused Justine. Justine defended herself, saying, "I'm innocent. I did nothing to the children. I loved them." The principal also supported her, insisting she was telling the truth and that she herself was a victim. But then, one parent, Archer, stood up and shouted accusations, even calling her a witch. The crowd grew uncontrollable, ready to attack Justine. The principal quickly intervened, defended Justine, and security escorted her away. She was told to go straight home and not leave the house. That night, Justine sat in her car, went home, and heartbroken, began drinking again. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. She called out, asking who was there, but no reply came. She peeked through the peephole, but saw no one. She looked outside the window, but still found nothing. Thinking it was nothing, she tried to relax, but suddenly, loud knocking began at the door. Panicking, she shouted, "Who are you? Don't you?" Gathering courage, she grabbed a tool and went outside, only to discover that someone had spray painted a giant word on her car, witch. The next morning, Justine went to the police to file a report. There, she met an officer who happened to be her friend. Later, at school, the principal told her it would be better if she didn't come anymore. The situation was too dangerous. Justine asked if she could at least speak to Alex, but the principal reminded her of how angry the parents were. Until things calmed down, she should stay away from the school, and especially from the children. That evening, she met her officer friend outside. She noticed his hand was bandaged and asked about it. He explained that he had been injured during a strange case. Justine confessed, "Everyone thinks I'm a witch. Someone even wrote it on my car." The officer tried to cheer her up. The next day, Justine told him, "I think Alex knows something. We should talk to him." But the officer refused. "The investigation is ongoing. Let them do their job. Stay out of this." But Justine didn't listen. She secretly followed Alex as he walked home from school, saw him go inside, and rang the doorbell. No one came to open the door. She asked if anyone was inside, but there was no reply, no sound at all, as if no one was there, though Alex had just entered and someone had opened the door for him. That's why Justine felt something was very wrong. She wanted to know what was really happening here, but all the windows of the house had been covered with paper. She went around to the back side of the house, and luckily, from one window, A piece of paper was slightly torn. Justine peeked through it and saw that the inside of the house was completely dark, and in that darkness, 2 people were sitting. The sight terrified her. Suddenly, a shovel lying nearby slipped and fell, startling her even more. But despite the noise, no one came outside. So she looked again through the torn paper, and those 2 figures were still sitting there, completely still, like statues. She found this very strange and reported it to the principal, saying something was definitely wrong with Alex's parents and that Alex must be in trouble. She urged the principal to check for himself. The principal said, "Okay, I'll look into it, but you must stay away from all this." Later, Justine went to a store to buy drinks, unaware that a woman was following her. Suddenly, the woman grabbed her hair from behind and threw her to the ground. She threatened her with a bottle, saying, "You came to my house, didn't you?" Justine pleaded, "I didn't do anything. Please let me go." But the woman was furious and splashed the drink over Justine's face. Just then, a shop worker intervened, restrained the woman, and threw her out. That night, Justine went home and fell asleep. She had a strange dream in which she saw herself walking alone to school. When she entered the classroom, all the children were sitting with their heads down. The clock showed exactly 2:17. Suddenly, Alex raised his head and gave a strange, creepy smile, like a clown's. Terrified, Justine woke up. She tried to sleep again, but as soon as she lay down, she saw an unknown woman on the ceiling, her face twisted like a clown's. Horrified, Justine screamed. That's when she truly woke up and realized she had been dreaming inside a dream. The next day, Justine went again to Alex's house, trying to talk to him, but Alex refused to speak and only said, "Don't follow me." Then he walked away, but Justine didn't give up. She knocked on the door, insisting, "I know you're inside, come out." Still, no one answered. So this time, instead of leaving, she decided to camp outside the house, waiting for someone to come out. Hours passed, night fell, but no one came out. Justine dozed off and fell asleep outside the house. Suddenly, the door creaked open. Alex's mother came out, holding a pair of scissors. She ran strangely toward Justine, but upon seeing her asleep, she didn't attack. Instead, she simply cut off a lock of Justine's hair and left. Here, Justine's part ends, and now the story continues from Archer's perspective, the single father who accused Justine of being a witch. Archer's son was also missing, leaving him deeply disturbed. He spent most of his time watching recordings of his son, hoping to find some clue. He kept going to the police station to ask if there was any news of his son, but the police only said, "The investigation is ongoing. We'll inform you if anything is found." That evening, Archer attended the parents' meeting, where again he accused Justine. Even afterward, he wouldn't leave her alone. When she had gone to buy drinks at the store, Archer had followed her all the way home. It was him ringing her bell, knocking on her door to scare her. And he was the one who wrote "witch" on her car. One night, as Archer slept, he suddenly woke up. The time was exactly 2:17. He heard noises and thought it was his son. He searched the house but found no one. Then, suddenly, the door opened. He ran outside and at a distance saw his son, running with arms stretched out like an airplane before entering a house. Archer ran after him into that same house. He searched everywhere and finally, in an upstairs room, found someone lying on a bed. It was his son. Archer asked, "Son, where have you been?" But the boy didn't answer. Archer began crying. "Son, forgive me. I wasn't there for you. I couldn't protect you. I missed you so much. I love you more than anything." Just then, light fell on the boy's face, revealing not his son, but that same terrifying clown-like figure. Archer woke up in shock, just like Justine had before. Archer had another frightening dream, but this time, the dream gave him a clue. He stepped outside and looked at the tower nearby. He remembered, in the dream, his son had run toward the tower's direction. So Archer took out a map, drew a line from his house to the tower, and then went to another parent's home whose daughter had also gone missing. From their house, too, he drew a line toward the tower. He was doing this because he was convinced all the disappearances were connected. Wherever the two lines intersected, that house would be the key. That's where the children must have gone. Archer marked the intersection point and set out to investigate. But on the way, he spotted Justine's car at a gas station. She was refueling when Archer approached her. The moment Justine saw him, she became angry. She said, "Stop following me. I'm not a witch." Suddenly, she froze because she saw the principal, his face covered in blood, running toward her in a twisted posture. Within seconds, he attacked, grabbing her throat. Archer rushed in to save her and began fighting the principal, but the principal was furious, his eyes bulging, his rage uncontrollable. He overpowered Archer and also began strangling him. And here, this segment ends. The next segment shifts to the perspective of the officer. He was sitting in his car, heading out for work, when he noticed a boy peeking into someone's house. As soon as the boy saw the officer, he ran, but the officer managed to catch him. The officer asked, "Do you have any weapons or drugs on you?" The boy replied, "No, sir." But during the search, the officer's finger was pricked by a hidden injection needle in the boy's pocket. It was clear he was lying. He was a drug dealer, carrying narcotic syringes. The officer became furious and punched him hard. He quickly disinfected his finger, then woke the boy up and said, "Listen, I'm letting you go, but tell no one. Leave this town immediately. If I ever see you again, you're finished." The boy was released, and we realize this was the reason behind the bandage on the officer's finger, something Justine had noticed earlier. Later, the officer went to meet Justine, then returned home, and here we learn a shocking truth. The officer was married, and his wife was the same woman who had attacked Justine in the store. His wife suspected him, which is why she had behaved that way. She even asked him directly, "Did you go to her house?" Soon after, the officer went back to the police station. While outside, he saw the same drug dealer again. Enraged, he shouted, "Didn't I warn you?" The dealer ran, but this time the officer chased him in his car, determined not to let him escape. And with that, the officer's segment ends. The story now moves to the drug dealer's perspective. We learn that besides dealing drugs, he also committed thefts. He had no permanent place to stay and was currently living in a tent in the forest. Though the officer had warned him to leave town, he neither left nor stopped his crimes. One night, he arrived at Alex's house, planning to rob it. He climbed in through a window. Inside, the house was completely dark. He thought it was empty. He began looking for valuables. At one point, in the reflection of the TV screen, he saw Alex's parents. Startled, he muttered, "Sorry, I didn't do anything." But then he realized they weren't moving. They were just sitting there like ghosts. So he ignored them, stole what he could, stuffed it into his bag, and was about to leave when he heard noises coming from the basement. Curious, he went to check, and what he saw shocked him. The 17 missing children were all there in the basement. Terrified, he ran away, but he still carried some stolen goods, which he tried selling at a store. Inside the shop, his eyes fell on the posters of the missing children, with a reward printed on them. Seeing that, his eyes lit up, because now he knew exactly where those children were. The dealer, eager to reveal the children's location and claim the reward, was heading to the police station. But outside, the officer spotted him, so the dealer was forced to run away and somehow escaped into the forest. There, he suddenly heard creepy laughter. Looking around, he saw the same clown-like figure pointing at him. Terrified, the dealer rushed back to his tent, convincing himself, "This isn't real. I'm just hallucinating because of the drugs." But then he saw the figure's shadow outside the tent, meaning it was real. The figure began unzipping the tent. In panic, the dealer grabbed a syringe for defense and jabbed it at the intruder's face. To his shock, it was the officer. This time, the officer was enraged and nearly killed him. The dealer quickly shouted, "Wait! I know where the children are. They're in the basement of that house." The officer stopped. "Fine," he said. "Take me there." He handcuffed the dealer, put him in the car, and drove to the house. The dealer guided him and watched from the car as the officer rang the doorbell. Someone opened the door and let the officer inside. From a distance, the dealer anxiously waited. Hours passed. The officer never returned. Night fell. Frustrated, the dealer was about to leave when suddenly the door creaked open. The officer stepped out, but he wasn't the same. His eyes were wild, his body trembling with rage, like a madman completely out of control. He stormed to the car, dragged the dealer out, and violently pulled him toward the house. That's where this segment ended. The next segment focused on the principal. We finally see how he changed so suddenly. Earlier, when Justine had told him something was wrong with Alex's parents, the principal had arranged to meet them. But instead of the parents, a woman arrived, introducing herself as Alex's aunt, Gladys. Looking closely, we realize she was the same woman who terrified Justine and Archer in their dreams, and the same figure who scared the drug dealer in the forest. She claimed Alex's parents were unwell, so she came as his guardian. But the principal insisted, "I need to speak to Alex's parents personally, not a guardian." So Gladys left. Later that evening, the principal was at home with his friend, watching TV. The doorbell rang. When they opened it, it was Gladys again, this time asking for water. Using that excuse, she entered their house. Here the truth was revealed. Gladys was actually a witch skilled in black magic. She distracted them with conversation, then pulled strange thorny branches from her bag. Cutting her hand, she smeared blood onto them. Before they could react, she took out scissors and cut some hair from the principal's friend. Then she pulled out a bell and rang it. Instantly, the principal fell under her control.
She wrapped the friend's hair around the branch and snapped it. The principal suddenly attacked his own friend, pinning him to the ground, vomiting black fluid onto him, and smashing his head repeatedly until his face was destroyed and he died a brutal death.
Afterward, Gladys took out a small bag containing Justine's hair, the same one she had cut from Alex's mom earlier. She wrapped Justine's hair around the branch, broke it, and cast her black magic spell on her too. That's why the principal later chased Justine. We then see the scene at the gas station. Justine was talking to Archer when the principal suddenly attacked, trying to strangle her. Archer tried to intervene, but the principal started choking him instead. Justine barely managed to escape into the store. The principal, bloodshot eyes glowing with rage, followed her inside. Panicked, Justine ran around trying to find a way out, but soon reached a dead end. The principal rushed toward her like a beast, and she thought, "This is the end for me." But just then, Archer reappeared and stopped him. Both men were injured in the struggle. Seizing the moment, Justine ran, but the principal, consumed with rage, chased her again. She escaped the store, jumped into her car, but the principal followed, banging on the window. He smashed his fist through the glass, reaching for her as she screamed. The principal tried to grab her, but Justine's car started just in time. However, because the principal was under a black magic curse, he couldn't stop until his target was dead. That's why he kept chasing her like a relentless weapon. And this is also why the movie was titled Weapons. Meanwhile, Archer had also come out of the store and saw everything happening. So, he got into his car and followed the principal. But suddenly, another car rammed into the principal, instantly killing him. After this, Archer apologized to Justine. He realized it was never her fault. She was a victim too. Justine forgave him and said, "I've never seen anything like this in my life. What exactly happened to him? Just a few days ago when I met him, he seemed completely fine." Archer replied, "I've never seen anything like this either, but I noticed the way he was running. It was the same strange pose as those kids were running in. He then opened a map and showed her the intersection area. Justine looked closely and saw that the house at that point was Alex's house. And that's where this segment ended. The next part was about Alex. Here, we finally see Alex's backstory from the beginning, and all the hidden secrets start to unfold. Alex was living an ordinary life, going to school every day. After school, his dad would usually pick him up. One day, his dad told him, "Your Aunt Gladys will be staying with us." Alex was confused and upset. "Why is she coming? How can I live with her? I don't even know her." His dad explained, "She's very sick, son, and has no one else. She's part of our family, and we need to help her." That night, Alex was reading his book about witches when his dad brought Aunt Gladys home. She looked old and weak, carrying a strange plant with her. Alex ignored it and went to bed. The next day, his dad dropped him at school, but never came back to pick him up. Slowly, all the other kids were taken home by their parents, leaving Alex alone. After waiting for a long time, he decided to walk home. On the way, he wondered, why didn't Dad come? What was he busy with? But when he got home, he was shocked. His dad was already there, sitting motionless like a puppet, speaking robotically as if someone else was controlling him. His mom was the same. Confused and scared, Alex wondered, what happened to my parents? At that moment, Gladys appeared, looking much healthier than before. Because Alex had been reading about witches, he quickly understood. She must have done something to his parents. He tried to wake them by splashing water on their faces, but nothing worked. Gladys coldly told him, "They won't listen to you anymore. They'll only listen to me." To prove it, she pulled out the same thorny branch, wrapped his parents' hair around it, and snapped it. Immediately, both parents picked up forks from the table and started stabbing themselves in the cheeks. Alex panicked and begged her to stop. She then dropped the broken branch into a bowl of water, and the spell ended. Gladys warned him, "If you want your mom and dad to stay alive, you won't tell anyone about this. Do exactly as I say." From then on, she controlled Alex like a puppet. Every day, he saw her performing rituals in front of the strange plant, which slowly made her healthier and younger. But after some time, she would weaken again. One day, she told Alex, "If you do one task for me, I'll heal your parents and leave this place." The task was for Alex to bring something from each of his classmates, an item that belonged to them, so she could cast spells on them too and control them. Naive Alex didn't realize the danger and agreed. At school, he wondered, what should I steal? A pencil? An eraser? A sharpener? Then he noticed all the kids' name stickers. He decided to take those instead. During game period, while everyone was outside playing, Alex went into the classroom, peeled off all the stickers, and put them in his bag. That evening, he gave them to Gladys. At exactly 2:17, she used the stickers for her black magic ritual. As a result, all the children fell under her control. They ran from their homes in the same strange pose and gathered at her place. Gladys kidnapped them and locked them in the basement. The next day, Alex went to school alone. But soon word spread that 17 children from the same class had mysteriously disappeared. When questions were raised, Gladys managed to handle the situation in her own way. In this house, she had locked up 17 children and one couple in the dark. The responsibility of feeding them was given to Alex. He lived in the darkness with them, gave them food on time, and then went off to school. Out of fear, he never told anyone about it. Poor Alex, such a small child, was carrying such a horrifying secret in his heart, suffering all alone. That was Alex's story. Now the movie moves to its final segment, where everything comes to an end. In the present timeline, when Alex returned home from school, he saw a police car parked outside. Inside the house, he noticed an officer and a drug dealer, but both were standing lifeless, like puppets, under Gladys's spell. Gladys came to Alex and told him to pack his things because they were leaving. She then went away to perform her magic. At the door, She had placed Alex's mom and dad as guards. Just then, Archer and Justine arrived outside the house. When the door opened, they saw the officer. Justine recognized him. "I know him," and entered the house with Archer. But suddenly, the officer and the drug dealer attacked them. Archer fought with the dealer, while Justine ran into the kitchen to escape the officer. But the officer caught her. Justine pleaded, "What's happened to you, Sean? Please stop." But he didn't listen. In desperation, Justine grabbed a potato peeler and slashed his face, hoping he would let go. But to her shock, it had no effect. He didn't even feel the pain. His eyes bulged with rage as he tightened his grip on her throat. To save herself, Justine fired a shot into his neck, but he still didn't die. Finally, she shot him in the head. Only then did he fall dead. She rushed back to Archer, who was being strangled by the drug dealer. Justine shot him too, killing him instantly. Archer then went down to the basement to look for his son among the children. But instead of finding his boy, he came face to face with Gladys. She snatched his locket and performed a spell, bringing him under her control. Now possessed, Archer went upstairs and grabbed Justine. At that exact moment, the twist came. Alex ran into Gladys's room, where he found her black magic thorn branch and wig. Remembering what she had taught him, Alex wrapped her hair around the branch and snapped it. This caused her own black magic to backfire on her. Suddenly, all the children turned against Gladys. They rushed at her with fury. She panicked and tried to escape, but the children caught her. They clawed out her eyes, then ripped apart her jaw, and finally tore her entire body to pieces. With Gladys's death, Archer was freed from her spell and released Justine. Outside, they saw the children standing around Gladys's mutilated corpse. Among them, Archer finally found his M. Meanwhile, Justine checked on Alex, who was hugging his mom and dad, but they were no longer like normal people. They remained in a half-lifeless state. 2 years passed after this incident. Some of the children slowly began to recover, but most of them stayed in that same unnatural condition. Why was that? Because Gladys had been old and weak, and she used black magic to steal life force from others to stay young and healthy. That's how she had trapped the couple and 17 children, draining them to extend her own life. Alex's mom and dad could never return to normal because their life force had been completely drained. They were now nothing more than living corpses. Some children recovered because Gladys hadn't fully consumed their life force yet. Archer, too, was saved because he hadn't been under her control for very long, but the rest were doomed to stay forever in that half-dead, statue-like state. And with this chilling truth, the movie finally ended.